I feel a lot more confident going with that side as a choice. That side having our friendly neighborhood sorcerer killer, Toji Fushiguro, as the winner. Up until a couple months ago, I was a sad man. A sad man that thought Toji Fushiguro would be able to beat a full-powered Yuta Okkotsu with only medium to high difficulty. Obviously, I was very wrong about that statement, and I intend to make up for my one mulligan with this video and truly explore just why Yuta Okkotsu, the cursed child, is without a doubt second only to Satoru Gojo in Jujutsu sorcery. In this video, I will be exploring the entire Sendai Colony mini-arc while also taking short pit stops along the way to flesh out Yuta and just how far he's come since Volume 0, as well as come to understand how each of his opponents represent an aspect of Rebirth and just what all of that means for the future of the Culling Game. Stick around until the end of the video to reach a full realization of just what's in store from this previous and future generation of Jujutsu sorcerers. As we reach the midst of the Culling Game, each colony is plagued with its own unique storm of trickery and death. But the bloodiest of all is Sendai Colony, where a nasty deadlock has been woven between 4 different pillars of power. Dhruv Lakdwalla, a sorcerer in his second incarnation, controls a massive space in the colony thanks to his 2 powerful Shikigami, large rat-like behemoths that lay waste to everything in their path. And on top of that, when Dhruv resides in the middle, the distance occupied by the 2 Shikigamis constitutes a domain where Dhruv maintains absolute supremacy. With full control over such a dramatic amount of the area, his claim of conquering an entire archipelago single-handedly almost 2,000 years ago isn't far-fetched. Ryu Ishigori, the hothead that boasts the largest cursed energy output of any player in the entire Culling Game. With a Pompadour substituting as a cannon, Ishigori is able to fire destructive blasts of pure energy with little to no cooldown. A sorcerer from 400 years ago, he chain-smoked cigarettes in hopes of filling the void that he was left with in his first life. Takako Uro, another player from the past who, when using her curse technique, is able to interact with and manipulate the sky. By using the ability to swim through space, she was able to achieve the rank of captain in the Sun, Moon, and Stars Squad, a group of assassins directly affiliated with the Fujiwara clan. And the last of these pillars of power is special grade curse spirit Kurorushi, a modern day black demon who was manifested from the world's combined fear of cockroaches. It was freed from curse manipulation by Kenjaku, and now acts independently as a player in the Culling Game, with nothing but the mindless desire to feed and reproduce endlessly. As the stalemate brings the colony to a freezing halt, a single outlier arrives to cut into this tension and tear it wide open. That unexpected anomaly is Yuta Okkotsu, the prodigy of the Tokyo Jujutsu Technical School. Making his way back from his victory against Dhruv, it's revealed Yuta has been hurting the remaining innocents left in the colony in hopes of keeping them safe. Despite having eliminated such a powerful presence mere moments ago, zero bloodlust emanates from Yuta, even politely offering a break to the crowd after witnessing a mother and child having a hard time to keep pace. This cool-headedness we see from Okkotsu never wavers, even as danger immediately rears its head once again. Now that Kurorushi's conditions are met and curse-infused roaches descend upon the stadium in a feeding frenzy, Okkotsu is able to calmly lead Rika into saving the death game victims and at the same time make tough decisions like who can and cannot be saved without hesitation. This is a huge development from the immature child shown in Volume 0. From the very first time Yuta had felt helpless, faced with the guilt of the power he bears, so much strength, and yet everyone around him still dies. Never once having any autonomy over his own life, the moment Yuta decides to put that ring on his finger is the moment Yuta makes the decision to shape his own destiny. Okkotsu promises to himself, to the world, that he will grow, that he will use this blessing he's been given to save as many people as possible, and also make friends and learn as much as he can from those around him, harnessing that power to achieve his goals. Ironic that Yuta Okkotsu's curse technique would develop into copy, taking small pieces of his friends and making a new mold. Yuta Okkotsu has not only completely mastered his curse of Rika, but wields his sword with pride. Pride that he holds not just in his friends, but in his own ability and his new role as savior. Confronted with Kurorushi face first, the Yuta of today looks at evil with little interest. The weight of his sensei, of his friends' lives, the fate of the world is on his shoulders now. Yuta readies his blade. Little does he know, the world is already his. The creature of instinct wastes no time. slashing its weapon at Okkotsu. However, the wielding arm is immediately cut off by Yuta, who proceeds to stab his sword into a rock and separate Kurorushi from the cursed weapon. The cockroach escapes from Yuta's attacks, but is relentlessly chased by the sorcerer. Yuta tosses part of the fence directly at the spirit and slams Kurorushi back to the floor with a drop slash. With every cockroach at Kurorushi's disposal charged with an individual amount of cursed energy, it makes swarms of them especially difficult to deal with. It's obvious now that Okkotsu has merely replaced Dhruv in the 4 pillars of influence. Despite Kurorushi shaking things up, the other 2 players continue to sit this scuffle out. Now aware that he has an audience, Okkotsu considers being mindful of revealing too many cards in his hand. Both Summoned Rika and Reverse Curse Technique are highly coveted abilities in Yuta's arsenal, and it would be very advantageous if he could keep that a secret from his observers. Without much time to come up with a plan, Kurorushi begins casting a summoning spell. As more roaches rain on Yuta, he whips up a tornado of water with his sword to scatter the swarm. Becoming distracted with the Shikigami Kurorushi summoned, the insect takes the opportunity and attacks Yuta from behind. Festering Life Sword's frontal blade opens and fires off projectiles containing carnivorous parasites, entering into Yuta's shoulder and erupting from the flesh in a bloody mess. Focused on hazard removal, Kurorushi is now able to take advantage of Yuta's distraction and strike another critical blow directly into his torso. As the predator begins to climb on top of and devour its prey, Okkotsu is given no other choice but to play one of his hands. Planting a fat one right on Kurorushi's dung-eating mouth, Yuta pumps the cursed spirit full of positive energy. By expelling Reverse Curse Technique, he is able to blow Kurorushi's head into pieces through the direct connection from the jaw to the brain. Kurorushi's remains decorate Yuta's uniform, leaving Ryu speechless. But Uro, on the other hand, sees a perfect opportunity and seizes it.
Seems like you can use Reversed Curse Technique.
The 4 pillars of power each represent a different aspect of rebirth or reincarnation, a desire to be reborn and gain a second chance. What exactly causes someone to play such a one-sided game with Kenjaku? Uro Takako, the sorceress of the sky, acquired flesh a second time in her long hunt for freedom. A supposed nameless assassin in her first life, she lived only for others and never herself, eventually being tried and framed for a political murder she did not commit. Sacrificing her morals to follow Kenjaku's lead into the new world, Uro is hopeful for the unknown future ahead, and if the Culling Game requires points, well then the more points she has, the better chance she has at survival. To think someone with the ability to fly could be chained down like that, unlike some of the other pillars who actually fared quite well in their first incarnations. Ishigori Ryu, a member of the Date clan, was touted as having the greatest output of cursed energy ever seen. From the name he made for himself, Ryu seemed to live quite well off. In his own words, he met a good woman, fought decent opponents, and didn't exactly leave Earth with any regrets. But for some reason, there was this weird feeling he just couldn't shake, constantly reminding him that there was still something missing. Absolute satisfaction, a final dessert, befit for the laid-back lifestyle of a child prodigy. That leaves us with Kurorushi's aspect of rebirth, and well, we'll get back to him. Introductions aside, things immediately begin heating up between Uro and Okkotsu, leaving plenty of room for Ishigori to insert himself into the picture, clearly having no sense of decorum. He promptly steals Uro's opponent by presenting himself as the more immediate threat, forcing Yuta to get up close and personal using a hole he created earlier. He proceeds to match Ishigori blow for blow in a close quarters duel, his massive cursed energy output smashing against Yuta's boundless defensive energy. Complementing each other well, they simultaneously release a discharge of cursed energy, causing Yuta to go flying. Finally seeing a chance at dessert, Ishigori's adrenaline raises to the maximum as Yuta catches the full brunt of a granite blast with his bare hand. However, this time it's Uro's turn to cockblock, as she makes her return to the battlefield by creating a crack in the sky behind Yuta and rebounding the implosion of space, rocketing Okkotsu back into the ground, and immediately following this act up by putting Ishigori into his place and sitting him promptly on his ass with a rebound of his own attack. Left with no other choice, Yuta Okkotsu must respond to this heat accordingly. As both of his opponents place doubt onto the mere child, the air grows heavy. Come, Rika. Give me everything. With the full manifestation of Rika summoned, Okkotsu becomes empowered with the full conditions of his curse technique. By synchronizing with Rika, Yuta gains access to her additional storage of cursed energy, as well as an arsenal of curse tools. And now, up until this point, I was dying on the Toji hill, man. I was Papa Fushiguro all the way, breathing in that heavy copium. And then Okkotsu just starts using his copied curse techniques and immediately begins pummeling the life out of Uro, 2v1 akimbo style with Rika. And before Ishigori is even able to finish firing a granite blast, the tag team are able to split up, Yuta getting vaulted towards Uro, while Rika once again disrespects Ishigori by deflecting another attack from him, while the two of them exchange punches. On the other side of the battle, Okkotsu is continuing to show off more of his copied techniques, shown to be capable of utilizing even Dhruv's technique of an orbiting domain between Shikigami. As the two different conflicts converge, momentum has shifted, and now Uro and Ryu are the ones with their backs against the wall, with each pillar fighting for their own selfish desires. Uro for her liberation, Ishigori for his satisfaction, and now Okkotsu for his friends. The three of them visualize and bring to life the deepest form of these feelings, unleashing their respective domain expansions simultaneously. Hey, remember this guy? Let's talk about his aspect of Rebirth now. As the manifestation of fear and negative energy, Kurorushi represents mindless instinct. More importantly, Kurorushi represents blind violence, like a cycle that never ends. Once an evil is vanquished, another simply moves in to take its place. In this case, Kurorushi was replaced by Kurorushi, who returns to feast on his prey, not as a player in the Culling Game, but as a regular cursed spirit. Again, the wheel turns, another disaster immediately filling the void that was left. Unless, of course, that wheel is broken. This entire time, Yuta has been learning, throwing attacks and fighting, yes, but he has also been coming to truly understand his opponents. An expert judge of character, Okkotsu doesn't hesitate to pick off murderers like Dhruv, or eliminate causes of senseless violence like Kurorushi, not once, but twice, as we'll see in just a moment. However, it seems he's reached a different conclusion on both Uro and Ishigori. Their unmistakable human nature cannot be denied. Now, admittedly, no one is perfect, as even Yuta himself isn't exactly the best at communicating these feelings, or even talking to people for that matter. In his own weird way, Okkotsu does understand them, enough so that when it comes time to actually put them to rest, well, you'll see. Before showing any mercy, it's time for Yuta to be a right dickhead, because as soon as the domains break, he wastes no time and kicks Uro down to Kurorushi, her most disadvantageous opponent. With her curse technique on cooldown, she is stricken by Festering Life Sword and taken out of commission by Ryu immediately after, who can launch Granite Blast without any cooldown time between technique or domain use. Half of Kurorushi was also caught in the crossfire, left stunned long enough for Yuta to land the finishing blow on the curse. With no other pillars remaining, Okkotsu and Ishigori lock eyes. An infectious air rises between the duo. Finally seeing Okkotsu's worth and acknowledging him as an equal, Ishigori begins charging a Granite Blast, while Yuta prepares a condensed cursed energy attack of his own. The kill shot within his reach, Yuta has the capability to fire this blast before Ishigori would be able to effectively respond. But that look in Ishigori's eye, it melted Okkotsu's heart. Just this once, he says to himself, he'll enjoy the thrill of a dance to the death. The beams fire, and the clash results in an explosion. Ishigori, no longer containing himself, immediately readies up another Granite Blast. However, this time, when the smoke clears, it's not Okkotsu he's clashing with, it's Rika. Seizing the opening, Yuta attempts to close the gap between the two sorcerers. But in an attempt to show off, Ryu repeats Yuta's previous display of dominance and blocks Rika's energy ray with a bare hand, saving the full blunt of that Granite Blast directly for a point-blank hit on Yuta's skull. Unluckily for Ishigori, Okkotsu's curse technique had just then replenished. Managing to copy Uro's sky manipulation ability when Rika devoured her severed arm earlier, Yuta is able to deflect the energy beam up into the air and land a counterattack right into Ishigori's stomach. Exchanging their final wisps of energy, Ryu begins to feel that void in his heart closing up, and just at that very moment, Yuta pulls Ishigori in close to finish the job. Having the conclusion of this battle planned from the very start, Yuta placed the both of them in the perfect location for his redirected Granite Blast to U-turn and land the final finishing blow on the last remaining pillar. As he awakens from his slumber, Ishigori finds himself overlooking the skyline with Okkotsu. Surprised to have been spared, he tries to tell Yuta it's not always the smartest act to keep an enemy alive. Yuta cuts him off though before he finishes. To become a natural disaster, to surpass one's limits and ascend to the realm of the strongest. Well, it's just never been done before by someone that's managed to keep their humanity. And this might be why people like Kenjaku can walk around knowing what Yuta is truly capable of and yet confidently claim they don't see anything special in him. Imagine people like that. Anyway, remember when I said someone needs to break the wheel? Okkotsu's selfishness lies in his desire to save the world himself, so the people close to him don't have to suffer anymore. I'll admit, it doesn't fit the normal mold of an over-aggressive, self-indulgent sorcerer, but we may just see a new take on the strongest, one that has never before been realized in the thousands of years of sorcery. Yuta Okkotsu has been reborn as the new self-proclaimed savior, ready to stomp down the wheel of endless violence and create a new age of peace out of the chaos from the Culling Game. Just as Gojo foretold, the people that he's raised are going to far surpass the expectations of the higher-ups and those that came before. People like Yuta, people like Yuji, and people like